Today we are going through 20 simple, practical listening lessons that will train your ears from the ground up. No confusing theory, no long boring explanations, just clear steps you can start using the moment this video ends. Grab a notebook if you want to take notes, and let's get started right away. Number 1. Start with slow audio. This is the foundation of everything else, so pay close attention. Many beginners try to jump straight into fast native conversations because they think that is the only way to improve quickly. In reality, this often backfires. Your brain needs time to adjust to the sounds, the rhythm, and the melody of a new language. If you constantly expose yourself to speech that is too fast, your brain simply gives up trying to process it, and you end up hearing noise instead of words. Instead, find audio content that is spoken slowly and clearly. Many video platforms and language apps let you slow down the playback speed without distorting the voice too much. Use that feature without any shame. Choose a short clip, maybe 30 seconds long, and listen to it several times in a row. On the first listen, simply relax and listen without any pressure. On the second listen, try to catch a few individual words that stand out. On the third listen, write down everything you understand, even if it is just fragments. By the fifth or sixth repetition, you should understand almost the entire clip. Imagine a short clip where someone says, "I usually wake up early and go for a run before breakfast." The first time it might sound like one long blur of sound. By the fourth or fifth listen, you clearly hear each separate word, and the sentence finally makes complete sense. This method builds real confidence, because instead of feeling lost, you slowly watch your own understanding grow in real time. Number 2. Listen to shows made for children. I know this might sound strange for an adult learner, but stay with me here. Content created for young children uses simple vocabulary, short sentences, and extremely clear pronunciation. The topics are also usually easy to guess just from the pictures and the actions happening on screen. These shows were designed to teach native-speaking children brand new words, so they naturally repeat important vocabulary many times throughout each episode. If you feel a little embarrassed watching cartoons as an adult, remind yourself that your goal right now is training your ear, not finding sophisticated entertainment. Even just 10 minutes a day of a simple children's show can teach you sentence patterns and everyday vocabulary that will show up again and again in real adult conversations. For example, a character might say, "It is time for lunch," or "Look at that big red ball," sentences that seem too simple to matter. But they train your brain to recognize basic sentence rhythm instantly and without hesitation. Pay attention to how often the same words repeat, and notice how the tone of voice helps you understand meaning even before you fully understand the words themselves. Number 3. Use subtitles the smart way. Subtitles can be an incredibly useful tool, but most learners use them in a way that actually slows down their progress. If you always read subtitles in your own native language, your ears never get the chance to work independently, because your brain relies completely on the translation instead of the sound. Instead, try this specific method. Watch a short scene one time with English subtitles turned on. Pay attention to how the written words match the sounds you hear. Then watch the exact same scene a second time with no subtitles at all. You will likely notice that you understand far more the second time, simply because your brain already has those words stored in short-term memory from the first viewing. A good test scene is a simple conversation between two friends ordering coffee, since the vocabulary is predictable and repeats in almost every similar scene you will watch later. Repeat this process with new scenes regularly. Over time, you can slowly reduce your dependence on subtitles altogether, watching more and more content with no support at all, which is the real goal. Number 4. Practice shadowing every single day. Shadowing means listening to a short sentence and then repeating it immediately afterward, trying to copy the rhythm, the speed, and even the emotion of the original speaker. This single technique might be one of the fastest ways to improve both your listening and your speaking skills at the same time, because it forces you to physically produce the sounds you are hearing. Choose a short audio clip, somewhere around 10 to 15 seconds long. Play the clip, pause it immediately, and then repeat exactly what you heard out loud, trying your best to match the speed and the tone of the original voice. Do this with the same short clip multiple times, gradually improving each attempt. For instance, if the speaker says, "Can you believe how busy the weekend was?" try to copy not just the words but the rising and falling of their voice, since that rhythm is often what makes native speech sound smooth and natural. Shadowing forces your brain to notice small pronunciation details that you would normally miss if you were only listening passively, such as where the stress falls in a sentence, or how certain words blend together. Number 5. Learn to listen for keywords instead of every single word. Beginners often panic the moment they miss one word in a sentence, and that panic causes them to lose focus and miss even more of what comes next. But here is an important secret: even native speakers do not process every single word they hear. Instead, their brains automatically catch the most important words and simply guess the rest based on context and experience. You can train this exact same skill on purpose. Listen to a short conversation, and instead of trying to understand everything, try to write down only the 5 or 6 words that seem most important. Then, using only those keywords, try to guess the general meaning of the entire sentence or conversation. For example, from the words tomorrow, meeting, office, 9, you can already guess someone is talking about a meeting at the office at 9 o'clock tomorrow, even without hearing every connecting word in between. This exercise trains your brain to relax during real conversations instead of freezing in panic the moment you miss a single word, which is one of the biggest confidence killers for beginners. Number 6. Use podcasts specifically designed for language learners. There are many podcasts created just for English learners, hosted by people who speak slowly, choose simple vocabulary, and often explain new words as they go along. These podcasts are very different from ones made for native speakers, which usually assume the listener already understands fast, natural, idiomatic speech. Search specifically for podcasts labeled for beginner or elementary level learners. Try to listen during small unused moments throughout your day, such as while cooking dinner, walking to work, or getting ready in the morning. A good approach is choosing one short episode and listening to it 3 separate times across the same day, once in the morning, once during lunch, and once before bed, so the content stays fresh without feeling repetitive. Even just 15 minutes of listening daily adds up to many hours of consistent practice every single month, and this kind of small, steady habit produces much better long-term results than occasional long study sessions. Number 7. Practice listening to numbers on purpose. Numbers are surprisingly difficult for beginners, mainly because they pass by so quickly in real speech, especially when it comes to prices, phone numbers, addresses, and dates. Many learners who feel confident with general conversation still freeze completely the moment someone tells them a price or a phone number. To fix this specific weakness, practice listening to audio content that focuses heavily on numbers. Try writing down phone numbers mentioned in videos, or prices announced in shopping and unboxing videos. You can also practice with weather forecasts, which constantly repeat temperatures, or with sports videos, which constantly repeat scores. Targeted practice saves you from confusion and embarrassment later, when someone gives you a price at a store, tells you their phone number, or gives you directions that include specific numbers and distances. Number 8. Watch short interviews using simple everyday English. Interviews with regular, everyday people, rather than celebrities or professionals, tend to use much more natural but still fairly simple language. Search for street interview videos where ordinary people answer basic questions such as their favorite food, their weekend plans, or their opinion on a simple topic. These videos are usually much shorter than full movies or television episodes, which makes them far less overwhelming for a beginner. The topics discussed are also usually easy to predict in advance, which helps you guess the meaning of unfamiliar words simply from the context of the conversation, Without needing to look anything up, try picking one question, such as, "What did you do this weekend?" and watching 5 different people answer it, since the similar structure across every answer will help the vocabulary feel familiar much faster. Number 9. Train your ear specifically with minimal pairs. Minimal pairs are 2 words that sound almost identical but differ in just one single sound, such as ship and sheep, or bit and beat, or the words live and leave. Many beginners genuinely cannot hear the difference between these kinds of sounds at first because their native language does not distinguish between them the same way. Practice with specific minimal pair listening exercises, where you hear 2 very similar words back to back and must correctly identify which one was actually spoken. Try recording yourself saying both words, then playing them back, since hearing your own voice attempt both sounds often reveals exactly where the confusion is happening. This kind of targeted practice sharpens your ear for small but important sound differences, differences that can completely change the meaning of an entire sentence if misunderstood. Number 10. Try listening without looking at the screen at all. Here is a simple but powerful experiment you can try today. Play a short video, but close your eyes, or simply turn your body away from the screen so you cannot see anything. Without any visual clues to help you, your brain is forced to rely completely on sound alone. This is noticeably harder than normal listening, but it strengthens your listening muscles very quickly, almost like exercising a muscle you rarely use. Try this specifically with a short news clip or a simple story, and notice how much more effort your brain puts into catching every sound once the visual support disappears completely. After you finish this exercise, watch the exact same clip again with your eyes open, and notice just how much easier and clearer everything feels the second time around. Number 11. Start keeping a simple listening journal. After every single listening practice session, write down 3 specific things in a notebook or a notes app. First, write one brand new word that you learned during that session. Second, write one full sentence that you understood clearly and completely. Third, write down one specific part of the audio that you did not understand at all, even after multiple attempts. This simple daily habit slowly transforms passive listening into active, focused learning. At the end of each week, read back through your journal entries, and you will often notice the exact same type of sentence or the exact same sound giving you trouble repeatedly. Over the course of several weeks, you will start noticing clear patterns in what confuses you the most, and you can then focus your future practice sessions directly on those specific weak points instead of practicing randomly. Number 12. Listen to short, daily weather reports. Weather reports use highly repeated vocabulary and very simple sentence structures, which makes them almost perfect listening practice for beginners. Words like rain, sunny, cloudy, windy, and temperature repeat constantly, day after day, in almost every single report. Because the general topic is so predictable, you can usually guess the overall meaning, even if you happen to miss a specific word here or there. Try watching a short weather report every single day for 2 weeks straight, ideally from the same channel or presenter, since their particular speaking style and pacing will start to feel familiar much faster than jumping between different presenters every day. By the end of those 2 weeks, you will likely notice that you understand almost the entire report effortlessly without any real conscious effort at all. Number 13. Focus specifically on connected speech patterns. Native English speakers very often blend multiple words together when speaking quickly and naturally. For example, the phrase want to often becomes wanna, and the phrase going to often becomes gonna in casual speech. Beginners who have only ever studied written English are frequently confused the very first time they hear these blended reduced sounds in real conversation. Search specifically for lessons about connected speech and common reductions in English. A useful exercise is writing down the full, correct version of a sentence first, then listening again and marking exactly which words blended together, so you can visually see the pattern rather than just hearing it once and forgetting it. Once you learn these specific patterns, spoken English suddenly becomes far less confusing overall, because you finally understand exactly why certain words seem to disappear or blend together during fast, natural conversations between native speakers. Number 14. Listen to simple audiobooks originally written for children. Children's audiobooks are typically narrated slowly and clearly, often with very expressive tone and emotion that helps convey meaning even before you fully understand every single word being spoken. Choose a short story that you might already be familiar with, such as a classic fairy tale you already know well from your own childhood. Because you already know the general plot and storyline in advance, you can focus your full attention purely on matching the sounds you hear to the story you already understand, rather than trying to follow a completely unfamiliar plot at the same time. Try pausing every minute or two to summarize out loud, in your own simple English words, exactly what just happened in the story, since this forces active engagement rather than passive background listening. Number 15. Practice regular dictation exercises. Dictation simply means listening carefully to a sentence and then writing down exactly what you hear, word for word, as accurately as possible. Choose short, simple sentences taken from beginner-level videos or podcasts. Play just one sentence, pause the audio immediately, write down exactly what you heard, and then check afterward whether you were correct or not. This particular method forces very careful attention to small grammar details, such as verb endings, plural forms, and small connecting words like articles, which are often extremely easy to miss during casual listening, but remain very important for overall accuracy and comprehension. Try doing 10 sentences a day, and keep a running score of how many you get completely correct, since watching that score slowly improve over the weeks is one of the most motivating things you can track as a learner. Number 16. Listen specifically to restaurant and shopping conversations. These everyday, real-life situations tend to follow fairly predictable conversational patterns that repeat again and again in real life. A waiter typically asks what you would like to order. A cashier typically tells you the total price at the end of a purchase. Practicing these specific, common conversation types prepares you extremely well for real situations you are likely to actually face while traveling abroad or living in an English-speaking environment. Search specifically for role-play videos that demonstrate typical restaurant or shopping dialogues, and listen to them repeatedly until the overall pattern starts to feel completely natural and familiar to your ear. You can even practice answering out loud yourself, pausing the video right after the waiter or cashier speaks, and saying your own response before continuing, which turns passive listening into active practice. Number 17. Use music for listening practice, but choose your songs carefully. Songs can absolutely help improve your listening skills, but many popular songs use poetic, unusual, or grammatically strange language that is not particularly useful for beginner learners. Instead, choose simple modern pop songs that feature clear pronunciation and frequently repeated choruses. After listening a few times without any help, look up the actual lyrics online and honestly check how much of the song you actually understood correctly without any assistance. The natural repetition found in most choruses, especially in popular songs, helps certain useful phrases stick firmly in your memory over time, almost without any conscious effort on your part. Try singing along quietly once you know the lyrics, since this combines listening, pronunciation, and rhythm practice all in one simple daily habit. Number 18. Watch simple daily routine videos, sometimes called morning routine vlogs. These kinds of videos usually describe very simple, everyday actions, such as waking up, making coffee, brushing teeth, or getting ready to leave for work. Because these specific actions are highly visual and completely universal across cultures, you can often guess the overall meaning directly from the video itself, even before fully processing every single word being spoken. This visual support strongly reinforces your listening comprehension. The vocabulary used in these videos also tends to be extremely common and genuinely useful for everyday conversations you might have yourself in real life. Try narrating your own morning routine out loud in English the next day. using the exact same simple structure and vocabulary you just heard, which helps lock the new phrases firmly into active memory. Number 19. Practice listening carefully for tone and emotion, not only for the actual words being spoken. Sometimes the real meaning of a sentence comes entirely from how something is said, rather than strictly from what words are actually used. For example, a simple sentence like "that is just great" can mean something genuinely positive, or it can mean something clearly sarcastic and negative, depending entirely on the speaker's specific tone of voice at that moment. Practice listening to short video clips and try guessing the speaker's underlying emotion purely from their voice and tone before checking the actual words they used afterward. Try muting a short video first and guessing the emotion purely from facial expression and body language, then unmuting it to see whether the tone of voice matches your original guess. This particular skill helps you understand real, natural conversations far more accurately, since tone of voice often carries just as much meaning as the actual vocabulary being spoken. Number 20. Make time to regularly review lessons you already completed. This final lesson is honestly one of the most overlooked, yet it might be the most important one of all. Go back and re-watch videos or listen to audio clips that you first practiced with several weeks earlier. You will likely be genuinely surprised at just how much easier and clearer everything feels the second time around. This simple exercise clearly proves your real progress over time, and it strongly builds motivation to keep going, especially during moments when learning a new language starts to feel slow or discouraging. Try keeping a small folder or playlist of your very first listening exercises from when you started, specifically so you always have an easy way to measure your progress months later. Try setting a simple weekly habit of rewatching just one older lesson every week, specifically to measure and appreciate exactly how far you have already come on this journey. Before we wrap up, let's talk about 3 common mistakes that quietly slow down almost every beginner's listening progress. Because avoiding these mistakes matters just as much as practicing the 20 lessons themselves. The first mistake is choosing content that is far too difficult for your current level. Many beginners feel pressure to watch full-length movies or fast news broadcasts because they think easier content is somehow a waste of time. In reality, listening to content that is too difficult creates constant frustration, and frustration kills motivation faster than almost anything else. If you understand less than half of what you hear, the content is too hard for now. Step back to something simpler. Build real confidence there, and then gradually increase the difficulty over time. There is no shame in staying at an easier level a little longer if it means you actually understand what you are practicing. The second mistake is listening passively, without any real focus. Simply playing English audio in the background while doing something else, like cooking or cleaning, can help a little with getting used to the general sound of the language, but it will not create fast, real improvement on its own. Real progress happens when you listen actively, meaning you are paying full attention, pausing when needed, repeating difficult parts, and actually trying to understand, rather than just letting sound wash over you. Try to schedule at least a small portion of your daily listening time as focused, active practice, even if it is only 10 or 15 minutes, rather than relying only on background listening throughout the day. The third mistake is giving up too quickly after a difficult listening session. Some days, a clip that seemed simple yesterday will suddenly feel confusing today, and that is completely normal. Your brain does not improve in a perfectly straight line. Some days will feel easier, and other days will feel harder, even with the exact same type of content. Instead of assuming you are failing or not improving, treat a difficult day as simply one data point among many, and continue with your regular routine the next day. Real listening improvement often happens quietly in the background, becoming visible only when you look back weeks later and realize how much easier everything has become compared to when you started. It also helps to remember that listening improvement is rarely obvious from one day to the next. It is very similar to physical fitness. You do not see dramatic changes after a single workout, but after weeks of consistent training, the results become undeniable. The same is true here. Keep showing up daily, even on days when you feel like you are not improving at all, because those quiet, consistent days are usually exactly when the real progress is happening beneath the surface, even if you cannot notice it yet. One final tip that ties all 20 lessons together is variety. Do not rely on just one single type of content forever. Mix slow audio with children's shows, mix podcasts with dictation exercises, mix music with restaurant dialogues. Your ears benefit enormously from hearing many different voices, accents, speeds, and topics, rather than becoming too comfortable with just one narrow type of content. A person who only ever listens to one specific podcast host might understand that host perfectly after a few months, yet still struggle to understand a completely different speaker with a different accent or speaking style. Rotating between different lessons from this video regularly keeps your ears flexible and genuinely prepared for real-world conversations with all kinds of different people. Now, these 20 lessons are absolutely not meant to be completed all at once in a single day or even in a single week. Instead, choose just 2 or 3 of these lessons to focus on each week and slowly build a simple, sustainable listening routine around them over time. Small, consistent daily practice will always beat long, occasional study sessions in the long run every single time, without exception. Think of your ears almost like a physical muscle that needs regular training. The more consistently you use them in the right way, following these specific methods, the faster they will naturally adapt to understanding real, natural spoken English. Real conversation forces you to listen under natural pressure, with no pause button and no ability to replay what was just said. This kind of pressure is uncomfortable at first, but it builds a different kind of listening skill than solo practice alone can provide. If you do not have access to native speakers nearby, look for online language exchange communities, where learners from different countries practice speaking and listening together, often taking turns helping each other with their respective target languages. Even occasional practice like this, combined with the 20 lessons covered today, rounds out your overall listening ability in a way that passive video watching alone cannot fully achieve. One more important thing before we finish today. Do not get discouraged if progress feels slow at first. Listening comprehension is often the very last skill to fully develop, even after your speaking and reading skills have already improved significantly. This is completely normal and happens to almost every single language learner around the world. Your ears simply need more repeated exposure than any other skill, because sound processing genuinely takes real time for your brain to fully adjust and adapt to. Trust the process, stay consistent with these 20 methods, and celebrate every small improvement you notice along the way, even if it feels tiny at first. Many learners quit right before the breakthrough moment, simply because they expected instant results instead of gradual, steady progress. So give yourself permission to move slowly and still call that real success.